Okay, folks, it has happened again. I didn't think that lightning could strike this often, this fast, but it continues to come left and right in over the last couple of months. And MadVR is the latest company to hit us with a stroke of lightning and change the world yet again. And I'm lucky enough tonight to have both Rick and Joey from MadVR Labs here to talk about the way they're changing the world. I admit I'm being a little dramatic here, but man, this is big news. And if people haven't heard, tonight we're going to talk about the release of a brand new product from MadVR that really brings video processing to a much broader audience, significantly broader audience. Now we're going to get to that, but first, I want to introduce my two esteemed guests that I'm really proud to have on the show with me tonight. We have Rick and Joey from MadVR Labs. And first off, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining. And maybe, Rick, you could start us out with a little bit about who you are and why people should care. Joey, you're up next, so get ready.
Well, thank you, Jiles. We certainly appreciate you having us. It's always a pleasure to be with you. We've done a show or two with you in the past, so that's always great. So I'm Richard Latovsky. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MadVR Labs, and we're just really excited to release the MadVR MV Core after all this time and all these requests from the market for this product, and it's just fantastic to finally be able to share that with everyone.
It is super duper exciting. All right, now let's move over to Joey. Now, Joey, he is a known commodity. If you've been to CEDIA or any, I mean, he is beloved by the home theater crowd. But anyway, Joey, tell us who you are and what you got going on.
Hey, and I am the Senior Global Sales Manager. I was a dealer for a long time, so in the custom integration business. So I did that for a long time. I am a lifelong cinemaphile. And why people should care is I tried to keep movies and the movie industry alive. So I love everything about movies. I love the behind the scenes, and I just and that's what's had.
I do want to set the stage for people so they can kind of understand how the company has moved through the introduction of the product, which was not long ago at all, like 4 years now or something like that.
About four and a half years ago,
something like that. Yeah, and how you started in the kind of the products that you've released, and then where the core comes in today, and then we'll really get into the core. But if you could talk a little bit about the kind of the product life cycle history, and specifically what these things do, right? Because I'm sure most people know, but there's got to be somebody out there saying, what the heck is a MadVR, and what, so let's paint a picture for them, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that would be great. So my partner Matthias and I launched the product way back when it was just a couple of us here at the company. So we actually were at CEDIA 2019 with the first and only prototype of what was then the MadVR MV Mark I. And we debuted there, and then we started gaining a lot of steam, and we came into ISE at right in Barcelona, right as COVID was just becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. So it was really an interesting time because, like you're hearing all this stuff and should we go? And it was like right at that point. And pretty much when we came back is when everything kind of fell apart with COVID back in I guess it was about February of 2020. But we launched the product there, and it's been off and running ever since. So we have the MV Extreme Mark I and the Pro Mark I back then. And I think it was around April of 2023 where we came out with the new MV Extreme Mark II and the Pro Mark II. And these products are fantastic. They're well suited for the high end of the market. And we every once in a while would find enthusiasts that would have them on, you might put an MV Extreme or an MV Pro on a $3,000 projector that was bought off of eBay, right? I mean, this was not the norm, but we did, come across that quite a bit. And so the products have been doing remarkably well. And but we were always hearing from the market, like, hey, what about us? What about the enthusiasts? What about people that have more, modest home theaters? We just want to use one on our TV. We would have dealers that say, like, hey, we've got an Envy Extreme in the theater, but there's a couple TVs, primary TVs in the house that the homeowner would like to put an Envy on. But, this thing at 4 rack units is kind of big, and it's also kind of expensive to pair an Envy Extreme with like a $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 TV. And so, we heard the requests, and it's something we've been working on for a while at shows. At every show, we would have, enthusiasts that would come up to us, and we would love hanging out, talking to them, learning about what they like, what's important to them. And they would always say, they'd always leave, well, we're holding out for, a budget-friendly model that we can use. And so this is it, right? This is the all that work going into the engineering to get the product down in size, to still deliver a affordable product that did not sacrifice or compromise at all on quality, right? And so that was the important thing. So the experience that you get from MadVR Envy Core, for example, with our dynamic tone mapping, is going to be indistinguishable from what you get, say, from an Envy Pro doing the same thing, right? So it's really a remarkable, price performance balance that we've really hit here, I believe.
Right on. So I want to talk about that a little bit more, but first, for everybody out in the audience, if you have questions, don't be shy to put those up. I know a lot of folks just like want to kick back and watch and listen, and there'll be plenty to listen to. But if you do have any thoughts, throw them up. I want to say hi to Herman. He's joining us from China. He jumps in the show every once in a while. He has been working on his home theater for a little while now, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really happy that he's here. And, Herman, if you don't have one of these, you should probably get your order in here pretty quick, because this will take it next level, and that's what I want to talk about right now. So folks are like, well, what does this really do? If you distill this down, how can you explain it as best you can? And I'm going to put out some words here. I want you guys to tell me what you think. So in my mind, when I think about this product, what it really does is it allows you, with whatever equipment you have, this can be anything from Trinov Altitude 32 with Barco Maholgen or whatever, onto a 160-inch screen, or it could be, like you said, on a $3,000 100-inch television off of your Marantz. It works with any of those things, but what it allows you to do is get the very best experience out of the equipment that you have. Right? This will look at the incoming signal. It'll understand what your equipment can do. I mean, you literally tell it, my screen can get this bright. It does this many nits. It does this kind of thing. We're going to have this type of resolution, blah, 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 blah. And it will give you the best experience, both from a visual point of view, but then also from making it work the way that you want it to, whether you want to change the aspect ratio, you want to stretch things out a little bit, you want to, the options that you have are very large, and we'll talk about that, the configuration, in just a bit. But that's how I think of it. You get the best out of your equipment that's possible, and then you can customize your experience in ways that you can't otherwise. I mean, even from moving subtitles around, does that kind of work? I mean, is that right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, like you said, it kind of falls into two categories, right? One is getting the absolute performance, the best performance you can out of your display, right? So the display's job is to do an amazing job showing the pixels, and it's our job to prepare those pixels and get them in the best form for your display, right? And that's where the advantages come in. And the second part of that are things like raising the immersion and the convenience, right? So for example, being able to do very tasteful nonlinear stretch, especially with sports, right? So, you're watching the Olympics, right? And you have a scope screen, so like a 235 or 240 screen, and you're watching with these big honking bars on the left and right. that's a no-go in my household, right? Like I want to fill that screen. And a lot of customers, really love, it's an example of how it raises that whole level of immersion, and really allows you to get the most out of the screen, or doing things like convenience, right? Like no more lens memory. Like that's a big thing for everyone, right? So with the Envy, if you have a scope screen, you zoom out to fill the screen, and then you never going to touch that function again, right? So the Envy will then take care of what we call constant image height, which will make sure that it fills the image top to bottom, even if you're not using nonlinear stretch. So if you're watching a show or you're going between 16:9 or 235, anyone with a projector knows the hassle of either having automation. If you're doing it as best as you can, the automation will take care of doing that, but it's also slow and kind of painful, right? Versus just having it be truly instant. Like when we switch aspect ratios, there's not even a single frame that's dropped. It's completely seamless.
Yeah, you remember the good old days of sliding the lens out of the way?
Oh yeah.
So Joey might be one of the most prolific cinephiles that I know, because you just said it, right? You try and watch a movie every night. You watch a lot of content. And so next, I think we'll dive into the core. But before we get there, I'm just curious from your perspective, since you work with this product day in and day out, what kind of rises to the top of the crop for you? Just if you had to pick one feature, what kind of does it for you, for your viewing satisfaction? Put you on the spot, man. I know it's a hard one.
That's a great question. I really, for HDR content, because I've never run into a display that's capable of reproducing HDR content right, because film majority is 1,000 nits, 4,000 nits, or 10,000 nits, and displays just can't do that. We were on a really nice brand new CI strictly TV not long ago, a flat screen, and it was really nice, but its maximum output, this nits capability, was only 450 nits. So and that's a really nice. It was a 77-inch flat screen. So the ability to see content, one of the things that we like to use is because there's some really good content that we can display in there. And there's this one, Rick, what's the name of the movie? I cannot remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, where there's like ghosts showing up, and one of the ghosts.
Oh, the Harry Potter.
Yeah, one of the Harry Potters. Is it in the bathroom? Oh no, is it where in the house where like the guy with the head that can come off or whatever?
It's in Goblet of Fire with the
so one of the watch it on a regular set, and any of us can do. It just looks like a ghost floating around, and it doesn't make much sense to the story. It's like, okay, this ghost came to show up to help Harry, right? But with proper HDR dynamic tone mapping, you can actually see that's a character that passed away earlier in the film that's come to help him. And all of a sudden, it's like, holy cow, that makes sense now. Why this, ghost came to help Harry out. So it really helps make content make sense.
It reveals those details that otherwise just don't make it correctly, right? Just because of the capabilities of your display versus what you're getting in the pixels. You guys should try out that new TCL 115-inch that does 10,000 nits. 10,000 nits. You can get bright. Okay, so here's the big reveal. Bam! Look at that. That thing looks good. that is a schwanky looking piece of equipment right there. This is the one. This is what, a 2U height unit?
It is.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and then does it come with the rack mount ears?
Absolutely.
And so when you rack mount it, do you take the feet off the bottom too? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you just hand twist the feet; they come right off.
Mm-hmm. Just like with the Power Extreme.
Okay,
it comes with the rack ears and screws and all the hardware you need, including the screws for the front of the rack. So,
right on. So let's talk next about the big change, because the feature set between this and the other models, I wouldn't consider it to be a huge change, right? Because this does the vast majority of everything, even the most top end model does, which is outstanding, by the way. But the price is a big change. So tell us what are we looking at now for the base unit? But then there's also like some kind of software upgrade pack that you can buy if you want, and maybe you could talk a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the idea behind the core and where it gets its name is that this is the core. It comes with the core MadVR NV processing, right? Which you would think of as the essentials, right? So that would be like dynamic tone mapping, upscaling to 4K, subtitle management. We have a very cool way and unique way of managing subtitles, nonlinear stretch, aspect ratio management, all the calibration controls, so massive 1D LUTs, 3D LUTs, and things like controlling, IP controls. So talking to Crestron, Control 4, or Savant, RTI, these types of devices. So this is essentially, in a nutshell, what the NB Core is. And then we have the NB Core Premium package. And the Premium package allows you to add some additional bells and whistles. For one thing, and very importantly, it doubles the warranty. So the Core comes with 2 years. The Core Premium package doubles your warranty to 4 years. And then on top of it, it adds some additional features now, and we'll continue to get features. I mean, anyone that's followed us over the years knows that our rate of innovation is very intense. So we are regularly pushing significant updates and introducing several things that are industry first, really, from how we manage subtitles all the way up to things like, our motion AI. Right. So the NB Core is really positioned for what you need for more of your modest setups. It can certainly drive, like a higher end display or projector. But that's when you get into like the NB Extreme, where you have features that, like, for example, our motion AI, which is really game changing.
Absolutely. So, one thing that I do want to talk about here is, you called out the difference between this model and there is a high end model. How does someone choose, right? So, well, I guess we should call out that right now this Core is only $49.95, right, through the end of the year, and then it'll go up to the normal retail price of $6,000, right, $59.95.
Right.
So you're $1,000 off right now, and in my mind, what that means is that they get the software upgrade pack for free right now. That's one way to think of it. And I probably would buy it with the software pack, because with that software pack, it literally is almost on par with the Extreme. I mean, there are only a handful of things it can't do, a couple of the AI things, and then the 8K, which nobody really needs a lot of right now. I think that's kind of future proofing things down the line, but it is super solid. But understanding that cost point, how do people choose? What's the thought process?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, although I think you might have meant to say the NB Pro.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's where the two are rather similar. And then the other thing too is if you look at our roadmap, you'll see where the products are going. So we're continuing to work on really cool next generation AI processing that will be predominantly in the Extreme version, and the Pro version will pick up some of those lighter features. So it doesn't always necessarily have the horsepower to be able to run all the algorithms simultaneously. That's another big thing too to keep in mind about the higher end models, is that you can run all these things we're talking about all at the same time, all at intense processing levels, right? But if you try to do all that, for example, on a Core or on a Pro, it may start to have to kind of limit, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, and this. You may have to kind of pick, what is there. So that's really the big thing. And the nice thing too is that, if you're looking for a budget-friendly option, the Core is ideal because you can get the Core Premium when you buy it, or you can get the Core Premium up to 2 years later.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't know you could add it on later.
Yeah, it's actually an aftermarket add-on. It's purchased directly from MadVR Labs. So you'll go into the NB menu and choose that option, and you'll be able to buy it on the spot, and it'll unlock those features. So it takes off any kind of stress or worrying, like, sort of like you go to buy an iPhone, you better make sure you pick the right model, right? Because that's your phone, for the next X number of years. With this, you can just start with the Core, And when you get comfortable with it and understand with, oh, that's in the core premium, I think I would like that. Okay, oh, I like that. Oh, I love the idea of doubling my warranty. Then you can just add it on, right? You don't really need to know, upfront. The bigger thing
that's
is
cool.
if you have a more intense home theater media room, you're really looking for the extreme in video processing. That's when you would look to like an MV Pro or an MV Extreme.
Great. I do want to point out and call out David here. So David, he's got a cool channel on YouTube. I'm sure you guys know him. For folks that don't know David, he's I don't know what all he is, but he's a certified calibrator, and he's very smart. And when I don't know the answer to things, I go to his channel to try and figure stuff out. And I don't know if you pronounce your last name Susilo or Susilo, but everybody go check him out for sure. Look him up. He's on YouTube. He's all over the place. You'll see him on all of the Facebook groups as well. So really, really good guy. Very, very knowledgeable. And we often see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, which is kind of cool. Now, this product has just come out today, right? Today is the release. Here we go. Susilo. I'm with you. Susilo. I'm with you. So this product just dropped today, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. That's
okay.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the craziness that's involved with releasing a product like this, because this is a big deal, right? People are going to look at this and they're going to say, man, I've got all these customers that really couldn't go into like a 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 grand piece of equipment, but $5,000-$6,000 they're in. It's got to be crazy right now. I mean, can you pull back the curtain and talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, as you can imagine, there's just an unbelievable amount of engineering work and planning and things that go into it for quite a long time. And then to kind of see it come to life in form of early prototypes, refined prototypes. We go through several iterations of the case, all the design elements, as you probably would not be surprised to know. Every nook and cranny of that case is analyzed and determined what we want to do. How are we going to do the dust protection? How are we going to make a product that looks sleek and modern, yet at the same time have a design where the intake fans are in the front, right? So there is a lot of commercial equipment that does its cooling that way, but most AV gear, with the exception of maybe some amplifiers, the cooling comes from the bottom or the sides or possibly the rear.
Sure.
So that was a design challenge because we wanted to make sure that we had a product that was attractive and had that good modern look, but also function over form. When it comes to cooling, right? So it was actually interesting too. I saw a comment online earlier today. Someone was like, wow, that looks like it's got some great ventilation. And indeed, that's kind of what we have set out to do, making sure the product runs cool, quiet. Nobody wants a noisy piece of gear in their theater. And personally, I don't really love noisy gear in my rack either, even though it's in a separate room, right? So the MV will be generally the quietest thing in your rack, and also among the quietest gear in your room. So all the cooling and the thermals and all the experiments, right? And you just keep marching right down that line, and then eventually you get to exactly where you need to be. It's kind of hard. The company that has its fair share of perfectionists to really get to that point, but eventually you get to the point where you're like, this is it, right? This is exactly what we're shooting for, right? And then of course all the marketing and planning behind the release, and it's a lot involved. And I know our sales guys' phones were literally ringing off the hook today, which was really great. Our inboxes were flooded, and with all sorts of messages, not only sales activity, but a lot of great feedback from the industry, our partner manufacturers, other people in the industry, even integrators that are customers, and those that are not, reaching out and saying, wow, we really applaud what you guys are doing. This is a great step for the industry, because I think everybody wants to see more affordable gear without compromise, right? Like that's the goal, right? You can make a more affordable level product, but is it going to deliver the MadVR experience? So if we're putting the MadVR name on it, it's got to live up to the MadVR experience, and so that's kind of, you know, the gist of you know what's gone on.
Right on. So Joey, are you guys going to make your numbers this month? You think? I bet. I bet.
Let's just say that my inbox was assaulting me today.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, so for folks that are just joining us, I've got Rick and Joey from MadVR Labs, and we're talking about the new MadVR Envy Core, which has just been released today, and it's the brand new unit that really brings this technology to. I mean, you could almost say the masses. I mean, to the enthusiast level for sure. And you said something that made me think just a minute, just a second ago. So you said you wanted to make sure that this new product, even at the lower price point, brought the MadVR experience, right? The same kind of quality. So I hope it's okay to show this comparison chart. If it's not okay to show this, tell me, I'll take it down.
No, it's on our website.
Okay,
people need to know this so they know how to pick.
So this I think is absolutely demonstrative of what you just said. And you know, if folks want to really dig into this, I released a video early this morning, so if you're here, make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. But I've got a video where I actually walked through this a bit to show and talk through the differences. But the big take-home message here is, and I know it's going to be hard to see everything, but if you look, the core is here. You know, well, let me see. Can you see my cursor? There it is. So the core is this set of check marks, and then the next one to the right is the core with the premium pack, and then you got the pro and the extreme. What I want you to notice is the number of check marks in the core versus the number of check marks in the extreme. And this to me is mind-boggling. There are a lot. There's a huge amount of feature parity between the entry level. It's not even entry level. The first, I don't know whatever the term is for the least expensive model compared to the extreme. You get a ton of value for that money. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So, and like you said, that's the whole reason. That's what you want to bring to the people, right?
Yeah. The important thing is to kind of read the chart carefully, right? So, for example, probably one of the most important you know, check boxes on there is, you know, future advanced AI-based features, right? So, you know, I want to make sure that people understand when they're looking at it, not just to focus on the quantity, right, of the check marks, but what's behind them, right? Because that one check mark in the extreme can be the difference between 10 plus features over the next few years being in one versus another, right? So remember, this is at a point in time where we're at today. And like we were talking about earlier, I mean, our rate of innovation is pretty insane. And so, you know, that the gap between the core premium, the pro, and the extreme will continue to grow as new features come on and as we challenge these GPUs for their maximum power to be able to deliver the ultimate experience for these new algorithms. Right on.
Now, another thing I want to touch on is these boxes do a lot, right? And you know, if you got a big chunk of money, you plop it down and you have your dealer, your integrator come and install it and set it all up. But it is very possible for the enthusiasts to put this together into their own system. They can buy one, they can set it up, and they can do it all themselves if they want to. And you have released, oh gosh, 2 months ago, something like that, a set of training videos, which in my opinion are probably the best training videos that have ever been produced in the history of mankind. And I have no reason to say that other than my extreme admiration of the work. But you have a very thorough set of videos. I've watched all of them that really step people through the entire setup. So is it reasonable to think that, you know, someone who is technically inclined that understands this kind of stuff could watch these videos and then, along with maybe a little bit of help from whoever they need to get a little bit of help from, set this up and be successful?
Yeah, no, absolutely. What you're referring to is the MB Academy Online.
Okay.
And it's approximately 50 videos. Most of them are bite-sized. I would say probably 3 to 5 minutes each. There are some that are 15, 20 minutes. They are everywhere from the most simplest explanations and showing things like unboxing and what comes, so how to be prepared for installation day, what else you may want to have on hand besides the Envy, for example, like a light meter, all the way up to much more advanced features, right? And one of the cool things about it is it's laid out very much to help guide you along the way from the beginning, right? So if just like a advanced college class, right? Like if you jump into advanced chemistry and you haven't done the other stuff, you may be unfamiliar with some of the terms and things that it's talking about. Not that it's that complex, but the lessons build on what we've covered in previous lessons. So it builds up really nicely. And it's primarily intended for our dealers, right? And so we had some folks in the industry say, hey, it's really cool that you not only release this and not only make it free, but you make it open to the public, right? So that an enthusiast or an end user can use it, because we believe in education, and we believe that, you know, an educated customer is a happier customer. And even if it's a customer that doesn't plan to install it themselves or fine tune it themselves, you know, they want to understand kind of what's in their system and how things work, right? So whether you're, you know, a happy homeowner and don't really get your hands dirty and want to just kind of understand what it is, or you're a diehard enthusiast, or whether you're one of our dealers, integrators, distributors, partners, you know, the lessons are there. It's literally a playlist on our YouTube channel, and you can go through and watch these. And like I said, they are really educational. And for those that are in the industry, it's also CEDIA certified and accredited. So they will get CEU credits as well for taking that for those industry professionals.
That's awesome. And, you know, like I said, they're very useful, and you can't really break this thing. You know what I mean? You can go in and you can tool around in there. You can create profiles and do all this crazy stuff. And I would say if you own one of these units, get your hands dirty. I mean,
yeah,
who knows, right? A lot of viewing satisfaction comes down to your personal preferences, and until you try nonlinear stretch, you don't know, right? Maybe it's right for you, maybe it's not. Who knows? But you know, you have the power here to do all those kinds of things. All right, we have a little more YouTube royalty with us, so we've got Easy Home Theater Tech with us. This guy, along with a couple of friends, has a wonderful podcast live stream, and I watch it often, and they get into some good stuff, and there's some pretty funny things that go on there too. So you guys make sure to go subscribe to that channel, and subscribe to MadVR too. You know, they drop new content, and you know, it will help you stay up to date on all the newest items that they have available, and all the newest going ons in that market segment. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about, you know, maybe my personal experience, right? And you know, first off, I want to say that I've been lucky enough to have one of these units and be able to go hands-on and have direct access into Ricky and Joey and other technical folks at MadVR. And it's been a really wonderful experience. All the people at the company have been extremely nice and very patient with me at times when maybe I didn't pick things up as fast as I should. But you know, I've used this with anamorphic lens, and it's one of the older ISCO spherical lenses, which gives you a little bit of barrel distortion, right? So you know, this tool has been instrumental really to correcting that and making this my system you know, better than I've ever seen it before. And I don't have the most expensive stuff, but man, that old JVC projector with the anamorphic lens, with this running constant image height on a 241 screen with nonlinear stretch for the 16:9 content is
sweet.
It's good.
Yeah.
But as a lot of folks that follow my channel know, I'm a huge proponent of direct view display, particularly now that you've got the larger screens, because I think this really brings maybe not as immersive experience as a 140-inch screen that, you know, at a 16-seat theater or whatever that somebody might have. But, you know, you can buy a 100-inch screen now for $2,000 if you want to. And the price of LED walls is coming down. So I love that stuff. And if people are going to be at shows, and we'll talk about shows in a minute, make sure you check out Just Video Walls or Barcode Residential or Quantum. There are a whole bunch of companies, but this technology is really awesome. And but it's different than projection. And what I like about this tool is that it brings, the same feature set for not one or the other or only one. You can use this on everything. And as a matter of fact, when you guys do demos, I think for the most
where we're demoing to either dealers or enthusiasts is on a large flat screen TV.
Yeah, and it's not something you have to take anybody's word for. All you have to do is have eyeballs, right? And it's just right to go back to my experience. It's been a tool that's been able to grow with me and will continue to grow with me as I move on through kind of my adventure into direct view display and to optimize all of these direct view displays that I'm going to move through over the next couple of years, right? So I'm excited for that. But I just wanted to share that, right? Because I think it's important for people to understand that, this piece of technology is widely applicable to pretty much any kind of home theater tech that's out there, and you put it in place, and it's just configuration to make it work.
Yeah,
right?
and it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people ask us, hey, can I use this on my TV, right? And what are the benefits on the TV? Because some people are under the impression that's really only for projectors, and at this point, it might be even close to half and half, where we see the MVs being used on things like video walls, high-end TVs, these types of devices. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Joey mentioned earlier, the HDR tone mapping is really unrivaled and will easily outperform what you're going to find typically on any TV. I mean, demonstrable differences, right? And when we do our shows like that are coming up, or CD and so forth, typically our demo station, we have an MV there where we can do A/B differences, and then we also have MVs in theaters throughout the show floor with various exhibits, so we can really see those differences. So the tone mapping is huge. Things like upscaling, if you're doing anything with 1080p, a lot of, like, at least here in the US, a lot of broadcast TV is still 1080p, almost all of it, and so that's a really big deal to have the MV doing the upscaling to 4K. And of course, the other big thing too is, and it's often overlooked, people don't realize that you can use our nonlinear stretch to make a more immersive experience for watching scope movies on a 16:9 TV screen, right? Because there are some 21:9 video walls, which are really cool. But the majority of them are 16:9. And when you put on a scope movie, you lose about a third of the content, right? And you got these big honking black bars at the top and at the bottom. And so what we have found is that you can, our nonlinear stretch is very unique, and we actually have patents pending on it, vertical expansion and horizontal. Vertical compression and horizontal expansion. And that allows us to share the load across both axes when you're watching 16:9 screen scope content. Now, you could fill the entire thing, but it will start to look a little wonky. However, you can go about half around like a show like Acedia, and you see these things. If you pay attention, you may notice like just a small amount of black bars above and below, much more immersive experience. So putting in MV of any type on a TV, getting a lower CMV extreme with the motion AI is just really, that's where your pinnacle in processing comes through. And it's just, a lot of people, our goal was to create the first motion interpolation that people would want to use. And we feel that we've largely accomplished that, because we provide an incredible amount of control over the soap opera effect, right? So if you're a purist, you can put it on in cinematic mode. Just takes a little bit of an edge off. If you walked into the room, you probably wouldn't know that it was on. but if you turn it on and off and go back and forth, you can appreciate what it's doing to just kind of bring some of that control to the extreme motion blur and judder, and then all the way up to the other end. Anywhere from there, variable dial, if you will, up to the extreme. Like, so we actually have like an Insane Plus mode that is only available on the ME Extreme Mark II model. And that just is like ultra super smooth, right? So, and there's a lot of people that like that as well. There's some people that don't like it as much, and we have some people that love it. So, like you said earlier, it's really about experimenting and finding what works for you, and being able to enjoy the most out of your display as you can.
Right on. So, you touched on the shows, right? Being able to see this. So let's talk about shows and how people can have an opportunity to come out and meet you two. You guys going to be at?
Yeah, so we're all heading out. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us are heading out to Audio Base Live tomorrow, from the 2nd to the 4th. I'll be on a panel with several others discussing, really cool things about what we'll have the MV Extreme running and an MV Core running. We'll be doing ABs between. Usually, we have to do AB comparisons on one TV. So, for example, we'll be able to see running without any MV, and then the TV running with the Core, because we'll have two identical high-end Sony OLEDs there. So that'll be really kind of cool and unique. So that's coming up. And then for CD, we haven't officially announced our plans yet, but we have some really cool wild plans again for this year. And we will have a large presence there throughout the whole show floor.
Yeah, I think a fun game to play at CEDIA will be to go around to the different exhibitors and see how many MadVR boxes you can count there, because it's going to be a lot. And there's a reason that there's going to be a lot, because I don't really like to get a lot into X versus Y kind of product stuff, right? Because you're going to have people that love one product or love another product. But realistically, I don't know that there's really anybody that competes with the Core now at the price point and the feature set. I don't think there's another product on the market that really can compete directly at this point. And I assume that had to be part of the design process. We want to sell these things, right? We want to give the best experience possible at the best price. So, does that kind of echo? Am I in left field there, or that feels like a true statement? I don't know.
We wanted to deliver a product with the MB Core that would satisfy and really be something that people would embrace and see as a no compromise, product for a modest budget, right? Because you can make a modest budget, component and then sacrifice on features throughout and give a mediocre experience, right? And MadVR is our brand, and that is our image, right? And we want someone to be at a customer's house and say, I saw the MadVR MV Core in there. That was unbelievable. And this is what they then leave their impression and telling their friends and thinking about what MadVR is, right? So if we were to deliver an experience that was halfway, right, just because it was a more affordable model, then the person leaves and goes, I thought it was a little bit better, without really knowing what the full potential would be, right?
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to hit this price point for the enthusiast community and all the supporters. As you know, MadVR has a huge community and a huge following. Our roots are in the community and DIY group. And the pricing, especially even with the introductory pricing, is our way of kind of reaching out to the community and saying, hey, we hear you. We appreciate your support. We are wanting to make the product, more attractive for that segment of the market, and to deliver, like you said, really an unbeatable price performance value proposition. Really, at the end of the day, we think that product is really hitting on all the marks, and we've seen all the great feedback and heard it today through online communities as well as emails, and it looks like we're in the right direction.
That's awesome. And people are going to criticize me for being overly dramatic right now, but the way I'm going to describe this, and don't laugh at me, I really think of this as a gift from you guys to the community, because you didn't have to come out with something at this price point. You guys can continue selling these things for whatever you want to, because it's good enough to demand, any price, really. I mean, I think it's awesome. So for you guys to say, okay, we want to embrace the community and really make this more broadly available, it really is. I don't want to call it an act of charity or it's a gift from you guys. So thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, if I was a home theater enthusiast and I didn't have one of these things, it's high. I know it's high on everybody's list, and they just look at it and either they can or they can't. Now a lot more people are going to be able to say they can, and that's great.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, I mean, we're all DIY enthusiasts, guys at heart, right? And I can relate, right? And I want to feel good when I'm at a show, and I can't tell you the number of times over the years that I was having great conversations with an enthusiast, and they were like, "Man, like I want to be able to afford this. Like it's so out of reach, right?" And so it makes us feel good now that we have an offering that not only is going to be much more attractive, but also still delivers that core experience, right?
And literally the core experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea, right? And so there is a huge amount of demand for the MB Extreme. The Pro has always been kind of far behind the Extreme. Most of our sales, the vast majority of them, are with the MV Extreme, and we continue to see that and great growth in that segment. But now this is a way of kind of being able to extend that reach into more of the enthusiast channel and embrace kind of where our roots are, where we came from.
Right on. I'll put up one comment here that I think is apropos.
This
is madness. Double A. He's a real good guy. Really good guy. This is madness. It is madness. All right, so we're drawing close to the end of our time here. Now I want to talk about one final thing, and it might be the most important thing, other than Joey's the man. Which if somebody wants one of these things, where do they get it? All right, they are ready for it. They are all teed up. Where do they go? What do they do? How do they get one?
Yeah, well, the best thing is if you go to our website, madvrmb.com, and you go to the top, there's a where to buy, and that will put them in connection, with an authorized dealer in their territory, whether it's here in the U.S. or anywhere around the world. We have, MBs available in over 40 different countries. And so, they'll be in great hands with authorized dealers and representatives. The pre-ordering has started today. And so, we encourage anyone that wants one. The product will be shipping in the fall, and there will be limited supplies in the beginning. So there'll be more after that. But if people are chomping at the bit and they're like, hey, this is really what I want, we encourage you to get connected, with a dealer and talk to them about what your considerations are, what models are right for you, and to place a pre-order if that's what you feel is best for you and your theater.
That's awesome. And for folks out there, if they want to help a brother out, I'll have a link down below. Feel free to click and order there. Affiliate links are me. I love it. So just look down below. And if you get lost, I'll have links down there too, so you can find the MadVR website. If you need help, you can always reach out to me, or I can put you in contact with the right people, all those kinds of things. But I do agree with you. Using a local dealer is a really good way to go for a lot of these kinds of things, particularly if this isn't like your thing and you don't know, you want it, but you don't know how to get there. They can absolutely help you get across the line. So Matt is bringing up a couple of comments, and we're kind of at the end now. And I think these are really good comments, because I kind of alluded to this at the very beginning of the show, where I said the world has gone absolutely nuts over the last few months. And he's like, this works great with K-Scape. And now you can get one of these and the Kaleidoscape V for 10 grand. And 10 grand's not cheap, but oh my God, in the course of a month, your cost of entry into this ecosystem, and I think these two pieces work together really well, has gone from $40,000 or something to 10 grand. What?
Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, they are a great pair.
it's a match made in film heaven. I mean, it is
in cinephile heaven.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, the MV with the Strato is a great combination, and it's really nice that now both products have a version that's affordable, more affordable for modest theaters. And like you said, I mean, what you can deliver, and very similar to the Kaleidoscape, you're still, even with their more affordable model, the Strato V, you're still getting an amazing experience. You're not compromising on quality, right? There's some other features and some other limitations in terms of bells and whistles and things like that. It's very much the same with the MV Core versus the Pro versus the Extreme, right? At the essentials are there, and then depending on your budget and how much squeezing that performance out means to you, you have those different options there.
Yeah, and there are a lot of comments coming across. The like we've all said, this isn't super inexpensive, but at the price point that this technology is now available for, this was literally unimaginable 30 days ago. That you could never ever approach this kind of tech, this kind of quality for that kind of money. Okay, all right, we could go on all night long, but we're going to go ahead and call it. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining. Your time is precious, so choosing to spend it with us is a gift. So thank you for that. Joey, Rick, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for coming on the show and kind of including me on the sidelines through this journey with you guys over the years. So I really appreciate that. And, thank you for letting me help push that message out to everybody else. It's really great product.
Jiles, you have an amazing channel. You do great work, and you have a great community here. So we're very much honored and happy to be a part of it. So thank you for helping us get the message out.
Yeah. And I'll see most of you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. All right, everybody, take care.
Thank you, everyone.
See you guys in the next video.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.